These are some of the most legendary last-minute goals in football history. And how about breaking a million hearts by robbing the greatest player in the world of his dream? It was the 2014 FIFA World Cup when the favourites Germany stormed into the final after destroying Brazil. On the other side were Messi and his boys bearing the Argentine flag. It was a formidable match. And for once, the world stopped when Higuain scored. But too bad that it was declared offside. The game then went on to extra time as the race to find the new champions continued. In a moment of brilliance, the 22-year-old Grosso received a ball on his chest, which he blasted into the net within a heartbeat. In a few minutes, Germany was lifting the World Cup for the 4th time. Messi's dream was shattered and every football fan was in tears. Because, you know, watching your favourite icons succeed is something that everyone loves. Well, in the 2018 FIFA World Cup, one such moment came in the group match of Portugal v Spain. Ronaldo had just won the Champions League, and it was he who could make a difference. Portugal was behind by 1 goal as the match entered into the final moments. It seemed that Spain was taking all 3 points, but a foul in the 87th minute of the game handed Portugal one last opportunity to equalise. It was the captain, Mr. Fantastic, aka Cristiano Ronaldo, who took the lead. He stood over the ball from just over 20 yards, curled it over the wall and nestled it into the top right corner, leaving De Gea stranded in the goalposts. Goosebumps! The stadium lit up with cheers. When Ronaldo gets going, he's unstoppable. In 2012, Sergio Aguero was in a similar position. His performance was memorable to say the least. Manchester City needed 1 victory to achieve their first Premier League title, but as things turned out, the match was headed to a draw, and the dream seemed too distant. But it was Aguero! God, it was him! It was the greatest goal of his career. Just when it seemed it was over for Manchester City, he put on an outstanding play as he pierced through the defence and hit the back of the net. This was the moment Manchester City won their first Premier League title. This was historic, and the only moment that comes close to this is Gareth Bale's iconic goal against Barcelona in the Copa del Rey. His sprint towards the ball for once proved that football is not about dribbling or skills only. It's about extreme fitness too. In the 89th minute, when the scores were level, it was a superb show of team play and individual finesse. As the Welshman sprinted past Bartra, it felt like he was Usain Bolt for once. He said Bartra pushed me and tried to block me, but he couldn't. I had to go around him. It was brilliant to score, but it's even better to win the game and the cup. He even holds the record for the fastest sprint in football history with a speed of 39.9 kilometers an hour. And that too at the end of the game. But Barcelona had their sweet little revenge in 2017, when the little boy from Rosario stole the El Clasico in the 91st minute. Good lord, I miss the old days. With the match tied by 2 goals each, this last attack proved to be the game changer. This low left foot shot by Messi from inside the penalty area after a cross from Jordi Alba silenced Santiago Bernabeu. Los Blancos were shocked. The wizard had done the magic once again. Even Zidane couldn't hold on to his emotions and said, "We can't be happy when you don't put the game away. Things like this can happen. We're disappointed because we didn't deserve to lose." El Clasicos are always crazy, but everything gets to a whole new level when it's the FIFA World Cup. And this one goal changed the course of Italian football. It was the 2006 FIFA World Cup semi-final. 2 power-packed teams were going head-to-head. The match went on, but the scorecard was tied with 0 goals per side. This was a scene that Italy dreaded. They didn't want penalties because they'd been knocked out thrice on penalties from 1990 to 1998. So they had to avoid this fate at every cost. As the game entered its final 3 minutes, no one would have guessed that penalties would not be required. Without looking up, Pirlo passed the ball to an unmarked Fabio Grosso, who swung his foot at it. The ball bent around Lehmann's hand and burrowed into the net. There was pure emotion on the field. Extreme happiness. It reminds me of the time when David Beckham's heroics got the 3 Lions a direct ticket to the 2002 FIFA World Cup. England was trailing by 2-1 at stoppage time, and a defeat would have meant facing Ukraine in a playoff game. But luckily, a foul in the 93rd minute kept England's hopes alive. This was the final chance before the last whistle. At this point, the English captain, David Beckham, stepped up, curling a great ball back into the net from the 25-yard mark, qualifying for the 2002 World Cup in the most dramatic fashion ever. English players have a rich history of last-minute screamers. Let's take Steven Gerrard, for instance. It was the 2006 FA Cup final. The Reds were trailing 3-2 to West Ham United, as the board for the added time was shown. With this, Liverpool had lost hope, but Steven Gerrard had different plans. He was there to win. As a loose defensive header fell to Gerrard's feet 30 yards from the goal, a thunderous strike from him set the Millennium Stadium alight, whilst breaking West Ham's hearts. Liverpool eventually won the game on penalties. Gerrard said, "As soon as I saw it falling, I wasn't thinking of anyone else. I was hitting it." Guys, you might have seen great last-minute goals, but this one tops them all. Leicester City v Watford. With the scores 2-2 on aggregate, the game deep in injury time, Leicester was awarded a hugely controversial penalty when the referee deemed Anthony Knockaert to have been fouled by Marco Cassetti in the area. It was apparently over for Watford, but then Manuel Almunia stopped the penalty and the ball was cleared. In a matter of seconds, Watford was on a counter-attack. As the ball came to Troy Deeney, he made no mistake, hitting the back of the net. Goodness! And all of this happened in 20 seconds. Watford was eventually through to the final, but the tale of how Chelsea sealed their victory against Bayern in the 2012 Champions League final is even more fascinating. Throughout the match, Bayern had been on top, but there was one man who didn't give up the fight. It was the 88th minute, when Didier Drogba made an incredible header off a corner kick. With this, the scores were level and Chelsea went on to win on penalties, lifting the Champions League for the first time. This was a glorious moment for the club, but not as glorious as Belgium's counter-attack against Japan in the 2018 FIFA World Cup. It was a heavily contested match, with Japan taking a 2-goal lead at the start of the second half. But soon, Belgium struck twice, balancing the scorecard. But it all came down to Belgium's masterclass in the 95th minute. My god, this was majestic, as Nacer Chadli closed in on one of the most historic goals in Belgian football history. Jeez. But guys, can you imagine 2 goals in 80 seconds? And that too in extra time. Oh god. Leicester looked set for 3 points, with the clock at 95 minutes, winning 2-1 against the Spurs. But little did they know, in the next 80 seconds, they were going to see one of the most brutal comebacks in football history. As the events unfolded, Steven Bergwijn, who came on as a substitution, turned the game completely around and left the Foxes in utter shock. Fantastic! A match that felt like a walk in the park became a nightmare for Leicester in a matter of seconds. Good goodness! But wait until you see Wigan Athletic playing one of the craziest upsets in FA Cup history. The scorecard remained unchanged during the match time as Wigan took on City during the FA Cup final. But the tides turned in the stoppage time as Ben Watson flicked a header into the far top left corner from an outswinging corner kick. City was flabbergasted, as this had been one of the most shocking upsets in their history. Who would have thought that the Premier League giants would fall short in front of Wigan? But, well, this is football. You never know what happens next. I mean, if you remember the 2013 Champions League final when the 2012 runner-up Bayern was competing against Borussia Dortmund, it was a great encounter as it headed to stoppage time, with both teams level with 1 goal per side. But there was one more to come in the final minute of the game. A rare high ball was played up to Ribéry on the edge of the box. He brought it down brilliantly and laid it off to Arjen Robben. The Dutchman sped through the last line of defence, faced up to Wiedenfeller and finally beat the Dortmund keeper. Bayern were the champions. Which last-minute winner did you enjoy the most? Leave your feedback in the comments below, and if you're interested in similar videos, don't forget to check out Top 15 Saves in Football History.